Hello, thank you for listening to A Glimpse of the Kingdom. I'm David Pendergrass. There is so much available online these days. It's amazing. Even 10 years ago, it was not like this. It's just astonishing how much really awful information you can find online. There's a lot of bad information, but there is some good information. And oftentimes it's difficult to know where to find the good information concerning biblical studies, early Christianity, and of course even late antiquity. But there's so much out there, and I just want to reference here just a few sources that I really highly recommend you paying attention to. And if you're like me, and you love Jesus, and even if you don't love Jesus, and you want to find out more information about early Christianity from really good mainstream scholarship, you ought to listen for free online. Go to YouTube. There are numerous lectures and debates that are just free, and hardly ever do I ride in my truck to and from anywhere without listening to some kind of lecture or presentation. And not to mention at home when I'm reading, I read a lot from scholars' blogs. And it's just amazing the stuff that's out there just for free, that you don't have to go buy a book or go get your degrees and so forth just yet. Though I recommend you do get degrees if you need to. But here's some sources. If you're writing right now and you don't have a chance to write this down, I hope you will go and listen to this again, or maybe just remember some of these names. I would start with, on YouTube, there's all kinds of things you can listen to. There are a couple men that you need to listen to, and women too, of course, but a couple guys in particular that I really like that are just big hitters in New Testament scholarship. One man's name is Richard Bauckham. Richard Bauckham. And Bauckham, you'll find him. He's a British scholar, and he's well respected in the field. But Richard Bauckham has several presentations, not a lot, but he has a few online, and it's worth your time. He does a lot of, he just does a lot of specialty in a lot of different areas of the New Testament. Richard Bauckham. And another guy is Ben Witherington III. Ben Witherington III. He's a New Testament scholar out of Asbury, and he's really good. He's got a lot of stuff online. There are people you can listen to, in addition to New Testament, there's people in the Old Testament. There's a man named John Walton. John Walton, he teaches at Wheaton College. He is the finest Old Testament scholar I know, who is able to not only bring incredible scholarship, incredibly well-read, but he brings it in a way that is easy for a layperson to understand. And I really recommend you listening and reading everything John Walton says. You won't necessarily agree with every single thing, but I do overwhelmingly agree with everything he says. He's that awesome. So John Walton, and he does a lot of stuff with Genesis and Adam and Eve and how the ancient Hebrews thought about the world in comparison to other cultures and context. So John Walton's great. And there's just so many people I could list. Here's one video that I particularly want you to listen to, or send as a link to people you know who are skeptics or want to know about whether or not you can trust the New Testament. There is a documentary put together, you might call it a documentary, it's a bunch of interviews, and it's called Jesus of Testimony. Jesus of Testimony. You can find it on YouTube, and there's also JesusofTestimony.com. The video is about just over 2 hours long, 2 hours and 14 minutes. Not every person interviewed is a heavy hitter in scholarship. That doesn't mean they're wrong. I'm just saying they're not a heavy hitter. But some people are heavy hitters in there. Richard Bauckham's in here, Craig Blomberg, and several others. But Jesus of Testimony, go on YouTube and listen to it, and you'll hear good background information about the manuscripts and how the New Testament was formed. Now, what this you might call a documentary or a video does not do, it does not interview people who disagree with them. So this is definitely a more mainstream, you might even say evangelical approach to the issue, though it's not presented as merely apologetics. This is not just a bunch of people who love Jesus trying to convince you Jesus is real. These are scholars, almost all of them. Almost everyone in there that I know of, almost all of them, if not all, have a PhD from great schools, and many of them are professors right now and have a long list of publications behind their names. So these are really good people who really know what they're talking about. It's just that the people who put on this documentary did not interview people who might disagree with some of their conclusions. But what I found is, and my humble view is that overall, not every time, but overall, they just present the facts. They just present the facts as they are. Now, how you interpret those facts is another issue. But this is a really good video that you might have in response to someone like a Bart Ehrman. Bart Ehrman, who is a New Testament scholar as well, who presents also some of the same facts, but he skews them oftentimes. And this video, Jesus of Testimony, is a great. It's not done in response to Bart Ehrman, but it is just simply a good other side of the view from a lot of other scholars that most people have never heard of, like even the names I mentioned now. So Jesus of Testimony is a good video to watch, and there are many other people online you can watch. If you want more, let me know. Send me an email, davidpendy@gmail.com, or you can just send me a message on Twitter, and I'll be happy to send you even more scholars you can read. And I think some are very good, understandable scholars for you. There are a couple of things I want to recommend to you. One is a website. There's a New Testament scholar. His name is Mark Goodacre. Mark Goodacre is a good British, got a great British accent. Dr. Mark Goodacre teaches now at Duke University. He runs a website called New Testament Gateway. It's ntgateway.com. So www.ntgateway.com. ntgateway.com. And it's full of all kinds of online resources for biblical studies. And I think it's laid out real well. He has a little podcast he does, and I encourage you to go to his website, listen to his podcast. He's a good mainstream New Testament scholar, real bright guy, really nice guy. And I saw him at something called the Society of Biblical Literature. SBL is the kind of premier academic scholarly organization that most of us join. Anyway, I saw him several years ago there, and just a real good guy. Anyway, Mark Goodacre's website, NT Gateway, teaches at Duke, and you can go there. Now, not every single link he has on here is to a new thing. Some things are, he references old Catholic encyclopedias from 1910. I'm not sure why he does that, but it doesn't mean the information is therefore bad. It just, that's pretty stinking old. I mean, we're talking about over 100 years. But other things are not so old. Some things are really good, and it's online, and it's free, ntgateway.com. Here's another blog I want to recommend to you, and this is an outstanding blog by a New Testament scholar who taught for years, and now he retired. Now he lives in Edinburgh, and his name is Larry Hurtado. Larry Hurtado. He's American, and he's a good writer. He's a very clear writer. In fact, but he's a very good, really good scholar, Larry Hurtado. And if you go to his website, larryhurtado.wordpress.com, Larry Hurtado, and that's Larry is normal, Larry, Hurtado is Hurtado, like hurt, ADO. larryhurtado.wordpress.com. He had a posting the other day. It said he got over 1 million hits on his blog, which is really saying something, because this guy doesn't blog about the weather and his fishing trips. This is about really good New Testament stuff. They're short blogs. They're a lot shorter than mine on my website. And he does comments. He actually responds to people in the comments. I don't think he's always as charitable as he could be, but he's a really good fine New Testament scholar, and he'll let you know on the cutting edge stuff here and there. So larryhurtado.wordpress.com. I follow his blog. I read his stuff very often, and he sends me an email. I get his updated email, a blog in my email all the time. So that's really good. So larryhurtado.wordpress.com is really good. Another website that's good for you, and this is the most, I don't like these terms, but if you're theologically minded, this is probably the most liberal of them. But it's mainstream. This is mainstream scholarship that I learned in my degree, 3 degrees, but also it's a little more liberal leaning at times. It's also a little uneven. That is, you never know who's going to write the article. But overall, I still recommend the website. I really do overall. And it's called Bible Odyssey, BibleOdyssey.org. So Bible and Odyssey is spelled O-D-Y-S-S-E-Y. O-D-Y-S-S-E-Y, BibleOdyssey.org, not com, but org. And it is full of articles and pictures and just all kinds of things. But like I said, some of the scholars who write might be very much against your ideological leanings, but my own opinion is it's okay to read people with whom you disagree. Just listen to their arguments. If you don't find them compelling, fine. But there are a lot of people in here who are, a lot of top-notch scholars have written little articles on this website, BibleOdyssey.org. This last thing I want to recommend, of course, is my own website. If you haven't gone there already, davidpendergrass.com. And I try my best in my blog to give more, might say, pastoral responses and some theological issues that people raise via questions they send to me, but also in my ministry through the years. So mine is more, I'm trying my best to hit more the middle of the road, which I feel like my life and calling and ministry is, which is in between scholarship and the pastoral world. And for too long, way too long, by the way, it used to not be this way, but for too long, there's been a massive chasm between the academy and the church. And I feel like it's my calling in life to be somewhat of a bridge between those two things. So my blog covers that. I do my best to be as readable as possible and include pictures when I can. So I think you'll like my blog if you haven't checked it out already at davidpendergrass.com. Well, keep listening. Keep listening. Keep making sure you're trying to learn as much as you can. You don't have to memorize it all. A lot of this stuff when you start might be brand new to you. You may have never even heard of these people, never heard of these concepts. I really encourage you in this regard. One, listen to them, watch them, watch the videos, not while you're driving, but just listen to it, and then watch it otherwise and read the blogs. But also I encourage you, because a lot of times when we encounter brand new things, it makes us anxious, a little scared. You might feel a little dumb and, I don't know these things, and I've been a Christian all my life. I've never heard that in my life. Look, that's okay. I've been a human all my life, and yet I learn a whole lot from medical professionals about my own body, and I've been in my body for almost 40 years. So that's why we have specialists. So there's no reason at all to dog yourself and think, I don't know these things and it's all brand new and I'm too scared about it. I don't want to learn. Well, nonsense. Have a little courage. And start listening. And I guarantee you it's going to open up a whole of the worlds to you. In these blogs, when they recommend different books to read, I encourage you to look it up. I learn a lot by reading these scholars, and there's a brand new book, that they'll recommend. That's really good. Just this morning I was reading one that's really, really good. And it's a book, I'm just telling you that even this morning it is. The book is called Inside Roman Libraries. And it's about how book collections and copies were done by a guy named George Houston, which is a great name because I live in Texas. Anyway, it's a really good book, but I never heard of the book before until I read Larry Hurtado's blog I was looking at an old blog post from a long time, about a year ago, and he recommended the book. So I'm so glad he recommended the book because it's an outstanding book. See, I'm learning all the time. So it's okay to learn. It's okay. You don't have to be scared. You're not scared of something new, and it's free. It's amazing. A lot of these debates and these lectures, people had to fly out there and pay for tickets and pay for memberships and pay for this or that, and you and I get it for free. So I encourage you, utilize it. Stretch your mind. Love God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. Don't be afraid to use your mind, as many people are not, but just trying to encourage you if you ever get scared about that. God bless you, and keep up the good work. See you next time. Thank you so much for listening to A Glimpse of the Kingdom. If you want to listen to more, go to my website, davidpendergrass.com, and look at one of the tabs that says podcast. If you click that, it'll take you straight to my podcast on iTunes, or you can search for it on iTunes if you want to, A Glimpse of the Kingdom. But also on my website, you'll see another way to get, if you're an Android listener on your phone or you just don't use Mac computers. Again, davidpendergrass.com, and click podcast. It'll take you exactly where you need to go, and you can subscribe from there and get this as often as you like, and also see my blogs and so forth. If you want to get me to come to your organization or church, otherwise to do some consulting, you need to go to davidpendergrassconsulting.com. davidpendergrassconsulting.com. You'll see the information there. If you want to reach out to me on Twitter, you can find me at Dr. D. Pendergrass, at Dr. D. Pendergrass.